This is from Heather Cox Richardson. Pundits are saying that the Senate will vote to acquit former President Donald Trump at the end of his second impeachment trial set to start Tuesday. I'm not so sure of that. After the January 6th attack on the Capitol, the House of Representatives passed an article of impeachment against Trump for incitement of insurrection. The article accuses the former president of engaging in high crimes and misdemeanors, quoting, by inciting violence against the government of the United States. It charges him about lying about voter fraud, trying to get the Georgia Secretary of State to falsify election results, and encouraging his supporters to attack the Capitol to stop the process that would certify Biden's victory. The article charges the former president, quoting, has demonstrated that he will remain a threat to national security, democracy, and the Constitution, and has acted in a manner grossly incompatible with self-governance and the rule of law. He warrants disqualification to hold and enjoy any office of honor, trust, or profit in the United States, unquote. The House passed the article of impeachment with 232 representatives voting yes and 197 voting no. 10 Republicans joined the 222 Democrats to impeach Trump in his last day of office. The Senate will hold the trial to determine whether to convict them of this charge. If all 100 senators are present, the number need to convict is 17, but there is no requirement that all senators need to be present. Pundits are basing their belief that the senators will vote to acquit on the fact that 45 Republican senators voted against a motion proposed by Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky, calling for a debate over the constitutionality of trying a former president. Paul insisted that vote was a proxy for conviction, but a vote immediately after that one on the structure for the trial drew only 17 no votes from Republicans. 33 voted yes. My guess is neither vote is a definite sign of what's to come. There are a number of things that are going on. This trial brings into public view the fight for the control of the Republican Party. Business Republicans, led by Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, have run the Republican Party since 1980. They cultivated the populists for their votes, but business Republicans never intended to give them power. The two wings jockeyed along each other because, like tax cuts and religionist judges who reject the idea of business regulation and government protection of civil rights. But that uneasy alliance is wrenching apart. Trump gave his populist supporters a taste of power, and they don't want to give it up. The Trump wing has become a personality cult, embracing violence and an attack on the rule of law in order to keep the former president in office. Business Republicans cozied up to the Trumpers because they needed the votes those Trump turned out and the money he raised. But it is no longer clear that he can keep commanding votes or raise big money. Since the January 6th coup attempt, social media giants, Twitter and Facebook as well as others, have banned the former president, taking away his ability to marshal the troops. Lawsuits from voting machine companies that Trump surrogates attacked have shut up media personalities, hampering the Trump team's ability to spread their narrative. Trump and his inner circle have also lost their access to major publishing venues. The last major publisher willing to buy books from Trump's people turned away from them after the January 6th attack, handing them back to smaller publishers. At the same time, Trump supporters increasingly look unhinged. Their face is the new Georgia representative who has, in the past, embraced political violence and QAnon. Since January 6th, Republican voters have been leaving the party. Their timing is a red flag. Voters usually only change their parties before an election. Voters are not the only ones disgusted by the riot. Major Republican donors have announced that they will not donate to anyone who voted to challenge the counting of the electoral votes on January 6th and 7th. Others have announced at least a temporary hold on political donations. So for a Republican senator, what's the political calculation on impeachment? The course for Trump Republicans is easy. They will defend their man. Today, in what appeared to be a coordinated publicity maneuver, Senator Ron Johnson, Republican of Wisconsin, and former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows tried to argue that House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is to blame for the January 6th attack on the Capitol. Trump's lawyer Rudy Giuliani blamed Antifa and Black Lives Matter. But the calculation for the business Republicans is not so clear. They do not want to alienate either Trump or the anti-Trump voters, and they need to raise money. Trump and his supporters have tried to lock up the party apparatus. The former president controls money and email lists and is trying to put his people in positions of power at the state level. They are publicly challenging the 10 Republican representatives who voted to impeach Trump. Representative Matt Gaetz, Republican of Florida, actually traveled to Wyoming to urge voters to turn, and Representative Liz Cheney, Republican of Wyoming, the third-ranking member of the Republican House of Leadership, out of office. It is likely that the Trump wing will launch primary challengers against anyone who votes to convict the former president. At the same time, Trump's support is falling. An ABC News Lepus poll released today showed that 56% of Americans believe that Trump should be convicted and barred from ever holding office again. By a 17-point margin, Americans say that the Republican Party has more radical extremists than the Democrats. There is another problem. It is likely that the more we learn about what happened on January 6th, the worse that the participants are going to look. And if indeed the Department of Justice decides to use the RICO, the Racketeering, Influence, and Corruption Act, against those who participated in the insurrection, it may well sweep in Republican lawmakers and operatives who spoke out, raised money for, or even planned the January 6th rally. In that case, a vote to acquit the president would tie a senator who is not even associated with the rally to those that are. Republican senators have tried to stay quiet about the oncoming trial. When forced to comment, some leading business Republicans have pushed back against the Trump wing. McConnell has called the right-wing fringe a cancer that must be cowed. And today, Cheney, who won Gantz's challenge to remove her from leadership by a 2-1 vote, went for Trump himself, saying, and I quote, that he does not have a role as a leader of our party going forward. On Fox News Sunday, Cheney told host Chris Wallace that Trump lied when he said the election had been rigged. She warned that the Republicans have to face reality or face defeat in the future. In contrast, Democrats are operating from a position of strength. It seems likely they will use the impeachment trial to explain to the American people what happened on January the 6th. Using the videos and words of those who were in the Capitol when the mob stormed in it, they will paint a picture of an attempted coup incited by the former President of the United States, Donald John Trump. CTP, know the truth. God bless. Peace to the left, justice to the right. More to come later.